reputation, but it's not the only one. And there's like bonfire heart and love and presence and fun energy and laughter. But I thought we'd kick it off with a little bit of fire, this morning. So Fernando, good morning. What's happening, brother?
Well, I am feeling fired up. It is Mondays that are the end of the month are a good thing. So Adam and I and the team here at Unblinded are excited to continue driving this mission forward, stepping into the final month of what's been a rather interesting year in 2020. My heart is full. I'm feeling momentum. I'm feeling clarity. I'm feeling the power of amplification, and I'm ready to kick off the week with another amazing Unblinded Huddle.
Awesome, brother. AG out there?
Yes, I am.
All right. What's on fire for you as we wrap up a November to remember?
Well, I had a pretty busy weekend. I did take off for a couple of hours to watch Malcolm X. That was my weekend. And yeah, watched Spike Lee's Malcolm X. Incredible movie. Loved the transformation of just to see his journey and also just loved at the end where you could really see him speak, and got some clips of that. And yeah, his profound, to say the least, very profound and incredible story. But yeah, so that.
What were your biggest takeaways from the movie? Like what pops first?
What pops first is just that inner dilemma that one faces when knowing that there's, you being challenged with your identity and your and integrity, and to be able to, just step into the truth, no matter how difficult it may be, and to have to your whole life to be behind a mission and a purpose, and then to just come to realize that you have to challenge yourself in that belief and your and to be able to do what he did was, I think, just, I don't know if there's too many people in the world would have been able to do that.
And he gave his life for it, right? And what I think is also so inspirational about Malcolm is where he came from, and he was having a lot of what would be considered to be success in living a life of crime. And his first innovation, or his first freeing of friction, to leave that life and to step into the life he initially did with the Nation of Islam, and to develop his mastery as a speaker and his self-mastery of the structures of what he was adhering to for his life. And then to take all of that, and later in life, as he saw certain cracks in leadership, and confront it at the highest level, to live consistently with the values that he had adapted and implemented in his life, was extraordinary. Like how many people could go through that many innovations with that much at stake each time, and to free that friction. So awesome job, AG.
John, another standout moment for me was when I realized that he was nowhere near as wealthy or had the financial prowess that you would have expected at that point of the movie with all the speech and everything that he had been doing. So we know that there was something lacking. It wasn't his influence mastery, and it wasn't his self-mastery. That's for sure.
No, amen. 100% right. So beautiful. And yeah. And if you look at the world of Muhammad Ali, who Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X were friends, and good friends, great friends, brothers, they would have called themselves at extensive parts of their life. And Muhammad Ali, who I love Muhammad Ali to no end, but his life also suffered from some meaningful suboptimal dynamics in his own maintenance of his wealth that he created. And he didn't lose everything like Mike Tyson, but Muhammad Ali also entrusted some of the wrong people that hurt him very, very seriously, and used him for their own acceleration in ways that were heartbreaking. So fun footnote, Laurel, I thank you for the introduction to Nick Lowry, because when we were out in Arizona, Nick Lowry was very good friends. Nick Lowry, who's a former NFL kicker for the Chiefs, and he was on the Real Raw multiple times. Really interesting guy. Dartmouth graduate from Harvard Leadership School. Later in Muhammad Ali's life, he became very good friends with him, and he was sharing stories we're out in having dinner in Scottsdale about that, and wanted to bring us over to meet Muhammad Ali's widow and to his house, and very generous and super interesting. So, Adam, fantastic job. Lessons in many. This is, I think, a wonderful place to lean in and jump. And by the way, if anybody has any questions or things they want to share today, please, do jump in. I would be remiss if I didn't begin here, though. My dad, thank you for so many well wishes, prayers, thoughts. It has been heartwarming, fulfilling, loving, and amazing. The outpouring of care is not overwhelming. One thing it brings up for me is a hope and desire that everybody in the world can feel that sense of love and connection that you folks have provided to me and my family, or my family and I. It's been truly extraordinary, and if everybody in the world could experience that amount of connection and love, I can't imagine that we can't solve everything. So I am overwhelmed. I'm humbled. I feel this almost difficulty having that much love and support. And thank you. And I only hope that you can have the same as you go through challenging times in your life, and that this ecosystem can provide that for you, and we can provide it for the world over time. My dad is not doing great, so please keep the prayers coming. I'm committed to the fact that he's already healed. I'm committed to positive intention and faith and prayer, accepting positive energy and belief structures, but giving a real-time update, because I think that also helps us create intention and prayer as well. His breathing is good. His temperature has been reasonably good, but he's had a lot of challenges with disorientation, and that has been anybody who's gone through that with a family member. My heart breaks for you, especially if they were unable to come back. And I'm confident in believing everything's going to come back. But I mean, calls at 4 o'clock in the morning, starting yesterday, all day throughout the day, all over the place on Saturday, was extraordinary, of extraordinary complexity, in just complete disorientation, but not being present to the disorientation, and a lot of upset and frustration and fear, and variants of phone calls and then repeated phone calls, and how to adapt to that process during this time frame. But we're confident we can get to the other side of that. But that's the biggest and most complicated challenge right now, in addition to there's still being fluid in his lungs from pneumonia. So he's in the hospital. Decisions on transition, transfer, and I will give this out to the functional medicine providers out there. Guys, you're on the right track, and you know it. Not on the right track. You're standing for the right things in the world. I want to acknowledge Dr. Shapiro. I think it's Fountain of Life, who I was introduced to through the Tony Robbins ecosystem. Mariah Brown directly made the intro. He was unbelievable this weekend in certain things that he jumped in. He's treated 1,000 COVID patients, and he was very supportive. And I know Dr. Vin, Dr. Roger, all of you have also been amazingly supportive as well. But I also spoke to my dad's primary physician, and it was heartbreaking, the level and lack of care that exists in that phone call, and the sense of annoyance that came towards my stepmom, myself, and it was unbelievable. I also want to give special acknowledgement to Mona, who was all over the place on making phone calls on Saturday and Sunday, fielding phone calls from my dad, including phone calls in the middle of the night. So there's a lot there. So Mona, thank you so much for that, including, working, on certain issues. My stepmom is under a lot of stress and pressure. There's a lot there. And Cole on Friday night, late into the night, thank you. Special, huge thanks. You were there working on ambulances and transfers and possibilities and things till, late into Friday night. So thank you as well. And again, I'm overwhelmed by the help, the support, the love, the resources that everybody offers, and just the endless outpouring of prayer and goodwill. So, I think it stands, everything I always believe stands for many things. There's definitely very fundamental breakdowns. I think this will be a great segue into a little bit of today and our completion in November and our launch into December. Like the paradigms that people exist in, and like the linear paradigm versus the exponential. I was on the phone with the hospital very often, and the conversation would sound like, well, yeah, everything's pretty good. I'm like, okay, but he's completely disoriented. Why? Well, we're giving him, this or giving him that. And it's like, yeah, but obviously something is not, like, what is causing his level of disorientation? And then just the village to raise a child dynamic, the mother of my children, Peggy, it was my daughter's birthday. We got together yesterday. A good friend of hers, my children's friend, there's all kids the same age. I've taken their kids to Grand Cayman. The mom jumps in. She's had COVID. She works at a major hospital in New Jersey as like a lead nurse. She starts firing out with all sorts of very reasonable ideas about what may be wrong. They made complete sense. Now we're calling back the hospital. And I think what is present for me as we enter this call is how much people don't have a formula, how much people have disconnected ideas. It's like there's a pulmonologist, and there's like a nurse, and there's the general physician, and there's not a system. And there's a human body that has to have clear thought, clear lungs, like a temperature that's not rising, oxygen levels being maintained, carbon dioxide levels that are being removed from the body, etc. And is anybody looking at this in a holistic, complete human dynamic to create those outcomes, as opposed to like dealing with like what's a problem, what's not a problem? And substantially, the answer is no. I know it is for people on the phone line. So you're desperately needed. And fundamentally shifting how all this works after going through this with my dad now for weeks is mind-numbing. Absolutely mind-numbing to directly experience. I know many of you have experienced it on this phone line and gone through excruciating pain. And my heart, again, goes out to you. So present to that, moving into what I can control for today, or influence at a much higher level than that, is our understanding that there's a formula in our process, influence, and self-mastery. And I want to thank Michael Smikin for introducing the talent code. We will be releasing 30 Days to Influence Mastery coming up this week. And the beginning of 30 Days to Influence Mastery, and again, these are 15 to 20 minute daily modules for you guys in our programs. And please encounter these. Please not only we're the jump off point for our self-mastery and the awareness of the formula is a tool to become self-aware. Like that is the jump off point for the formula, to become self-aware of heart and math accelerating access points to our process, influence, and self-mastery. And what is rising in that awareness is that we can learn anything, but learning is a massively active process built on deep practice implementation. And the book, The Outliers, speaks into 10,000 hours to become great at something. What it doesn't speak into nearly as much as what the talent code speaks into, which is how we can, in our brain chemistry, how we can create deeper, faster, more amplified neural connections wrapped in myelin, right? to master skill sets faster. And that is what is present at the highest level for all of us together. And where the balancing of this is to entertain you and each other enough with fun and magic, so we enjoy challenging ourselves and facing the frustrations that are biologically, neurologically necessary for you to become masterful and your process, influence, and self-mastery, to get the money, time, and magic accelerations that you need. Like, how do we become the Soviet chess school? How do we become the 1980 Miracle on Ice team? How do we become Brazil soccer, which through the implementation of the practice of futsal, which is not just the process, but how we engage inside the process, how do we become those things and more? Said differently, how do you leverage every tool we have here, the real raws, the 7 levers, all the modules, all the programming, so it shows up in your daily deep practice of building your ecosystem mergers, your speaking engagements, your sales meetings, your sales, to rocket for your disposable income, your contributions, your fun and magic. Like, how is that showing up at a more and more intense level? So I want this flag in the ground for you. That's our commitment here at Unblinded. And what is necessary in the co-creation of your flag in the ground is to deep practice and to realize what deep practice isn't. Deep practice isn't, hey, I don't really learn stuff. I kind of just do it. And I'm really good at it. You will never accelerate further than you are. I promise. And that's no judgment. It's love. But take the most talented athletes, singers, etc. Without deep practice, they get no better. So you will get no better. 2, it is not learning the formula. Learning the formula, watching the modules is not enough. Showing up in these phone calls is not enough. Showing up on these calls, deep practicing, which the real raw, there is no better mechanism of deep practice that exists. It causes the deep practice of everything. Your ecosystem merging, you're talking to people you don't know, your 4 steps, 10 steps, elements, 4 energies, your every lever of process mastery, how you conduct it, how you cause energy to be transferred during it, plus your individualized speaking engagements. All of these elements will cause you to rise in the only attainable superpower, which is influence, but also in your process mastery, because where Adam started with Malcolm X, you could have the greatest influence mastery skill sets in the world, and he was one of the greatest speakers you'll ever see, one of the greatest speakers in history. But was he causing all the outcomes that he wanted to cause at the highest levels in his process mastery? Separate question, right? So I'm going to pause there. Adam, Fernando, anything in the chat, any questions, people want to come forward before we take it home for today?
What's up, Sean? Got nothing in the chat. No one with their hand up. Let me just check this out. Just a lot of quoting, a lot of other conversation, but nothing to acknowledge or highlight as far as a question.
All right, cool. All right, Adam, final, brother.
I just, after going through last night, the process document for the Real Raw Open, and putting 20 different incredible outcomes down, like you mentioned, leadership skills, influence skills, process. I mean, the list went on, and then getting on the phone with you, and then putting number 1, deep practice. We were going to put it at number 20, and then decided, you know what, it is literally number 1, because where else in the world can you find such incredible deep practice for each and every one of those outcomes within the formula that are there? So that was just, I woke up thinking that, and we already had a plan, Fernando and myself, to make sure that we're living it as well. So I'm just excited for that practice, like we're practicing the alignment and strategy. Yeah.
And if you want to look at, a lot of times we look at celebrities, we look at people to follow. We look at somebody who, did a certain thing, right? I'm going to put this out there. I don't believe that there is anybody on the planet Earth, like there's 8 billion people. I don't believe there's anybody on the planet Earth engaged in a deeper level of practice to rise in their mastery in the space of how to go from hello to yes in integrity, in training, coaching, and development, than Adam Gugino, Fernando Valencia on the planet. Egoless, numerically insane, the number of humans they're communicating with, and their daily innovation, their daily rising their mastery by analyzing every single component of what is occurring. With humility, I'm engaged in the same processes in terms of connecting with people in public speaking and on Real Raws, with an endless analysis that says each day, how do I get better today? How do I figure out ways to amplify the messaging, the connection, the leverage? And tomorrow, I want to lean in with Chaz and some people on the team for how mind blown they were this morning on the 7 a.m. call, for how we think about what process marketing mastery looks like to create the greatest dynamics on the planet in history in terms of leveraging assets and multiplying and expanding together. That's the standard. Final, tonight at 7 p.m. What is Unblinded? Why the Real Raw? We are committed to making that over time the most powerful and impactful speaking engagement weekly and podcast on the planet, with implementation levers being pulled in 97 different ways. So invite people tonight if you want to introduce them to the ecosystem of Unblinded. That is going to evolve weekly, including tonight, the beginning of our evolution of disruption, exposing opportunity through strategy session, running during it. That is innovating nonstop. That is not just a throwaway night of, oh, that's for some new people who don't know what Unblinded is. It's going to be mind-blowing and valuable for everybody. So it begins. Here we are. Adam, great job. Fran, a quick final.
Quick final. I'm looking forward, just tonight, and what's going to happen tonight is an example of everything we just spoke about. It is the personification of deep learning, constant innovation, and you were going to be seeing the process live, and all of you being, within our world, you see it from multiple perspectives. Newcomers will see it as a presentation of what is Unblinded and what is Real Raw. All of us, because remember, there's always multiple ways to do anything, especially listen. Tonight's an opportunity to listen through the prism of what deep learning looks like. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah. Listen, let's have fun. Let's enjoy. Little Blood Brothers by Bruce Springsteen to take us out, because none of this matters in any way, shape, or form unless we are collectively together having fun. And I'm always suggesting human needs growth first. If you're in acceleration, if you're not in acceleration, connection and love first. But growth first, connection, love, contribution 1, 2, 3, variety 4, certainty 5, significance 6. That is my proposed hierarchy of the 6 human needs that Tony Robbins discusses for if you're in a process of massive acceleration. You can do whatever you want, but I've thought about it deeply for a year, and that is my best analysis of how to condition your need hierarchy to serve your acceleration, right? So have a beautiful day.